Hello and welcome to the next in my series of 7 ways to uncover your greatest gifts and your deepest soul purpose. And this way is about understanding your true soul essence as a gift, going from shadow to gold. This aspect of uncovering this gift that you are, your deepest soul purpose, is one that I notice that our students in Wake in the Wild particularly enjoy. There is something so wonderful about recognizing who you innately are as being something precious, something beautiful. It's something that I never tire of uncovering with people, this truth of who they are and how actually it can be something that perhaps they had a sense of, but for very good reasons, which we'll get into a moment, has been pushed out of their conscious awareness and is now not something that they have a really beautiful, aware relationship with. But as we start to understand who we really are and bring that into the world, alchemize shadow into gold, there is just something so magical that happens as we recognize, like, oh, wow, without me doing a thing, just by being, I'm a gift. So that's what this video is about today. So when I'm talking about this truth of who we are, this true soul essence, again, I'm not talking about skills or talents. I'm talking about this like deepest aspect of self, who we really are. And of course, we will be, because we're humans, we're going to be doing and saying things. But what we're talking about here is just who you are at a level where even if you did and said nothing, it would still be true. And so I'm going to give some examples here, but recognize these are absolutely not a complete list. I'm just going to give you maybe about 4 examples. But I really want you to listen for beyond the examples I've given, what might be true for you. And actually, before I give the examples, I'm also going to explain the different ways these qualities can show up when they have been pushed into shadow. So the way that we work, when we've taken aspect of ourselves and for whatever reason have this disconnected relationship to it, it gets moved out of our conscious awareness and it can then show up in 2 different ways. And so the way I like to describe it is it's a shadow, but there's a shadow pole. And at either end of the pole, depending on which end we are, will either be deflated or inflated. Or some other words for this might be underexpressed or repressed or suppressed or overexpressed. Another really simple way of seeing it is this end of the shadow pole is about hiding. This end of the shadow pole is about proving. And this will make a little bit more sense when I give you some of the examples, but I just want to say that at the outset that we're talking about these qualities, but pushed out, out of our understanding of who we really are, and it's showing up in one of those 2 ways. I'll also tell you what this other little piece, and again, you'll start to see how this plays out as you start to relate some of these words to you. So this end of the pole, the hiding pole, this will often happen when you've been shown or told one way or another. It could be by your caregivers, your parents. It could be later on. Often with me in particular, a lot of my qualities actually got pushed into shadow through bullying at school. So it was a bit later on. And one way or another, it's like you've been shown or told that you are too much, that this quality is in some way unwelcome or even dangerous to yourself or others. So that's why that side of the shadow pole gets created. When we're shown that who we are is too much, it creates a problem in the world if we are that way. At the other end of the pole, the reason we'll end up there is when we would have felt that we're just not being seen or appreciated. So this, whatever this quality is, people aren't noticing it, people aren't appreciating it. So you're feeling unseen. And so that will mean you'll move up to this end of the shadow pole where it's showing up in this kind of inflated, proving way. So that is generic to any kinds of shadow, what I've just described. And now I'm going to give some examples of these like deeper soul qualities. And again, this isn't an exhaustive list at all. These are some of the ones that I've seen show up over and over again, particularly with our students in Waking the Wild. So the first one I'm going to tell you about is what we call brilliance. And this is a quality, as the name suggests, of someone who is, very smart, has a quick mind, is, often someone that you would just say like, they are a very clever person. But it is more than just being able to, have a high level of intelligence. Often is someone who actually can think very quickly, can process quickly, sharp mentally. This is actually one of my own qualities. It often is a quality. If you watched my last video where I was talking about neurodivergence, you would have heard me talk about me being autistic, and it often is a quality of autistic people. Not always, but we've worked with lots of autistic people, and it's a quality that I share with many other autistic people. So when this is at the hiding end of the shadow pole, this can show up like feeling stupid, feeling like you actually know less than others, and sometimes actually a kind of dumbing down, like I don't want to seem as though I am a know-it-all, therefore I'll actually like hold back and not say what I know, kind of like hide the fact that actually I am bright. At the other end of the pole, it can be being a kind of real know-it-all, like proving all the time this sense of like, I need people to know how clever I actually am. And as I say, for me, part of the reason I was pushed into, or I pushed that quality into the hiding end of the shadow pole was, as I said, I was bullied quite badly at school. And one of the qualities I was bullied for was being I think in different countries and different eras there's different words for it, but a bit of a nerd, a geek, a boffin, a SWAT, and always knowing the answer, being an A student, and so that was one of the qualities I was bullied for, and so I learned to actually hide how clever I was. Again, for others it'll be the opposite. They may have been overlooked for example, a sibling who was also brilliant, but perhaps for whatever reason that was appreciated and seen more. So this is an example, and I'm not going to go into quite that level of detail for the other examples, but hopefully I've shown how these things work. Another quality I'm going to share is that of truth. And sometimes this could also be known as maybe integrity. It's someone who, again, without any real intention, just has this quality of being a channel for truth. Like honesty, integrity, truth is just them. It's who they are. And at the hiding end of the pole, and this often can be like almost like the opposite of whatever the quality is, they can appear like they're withholding and dishonest, and actually someone who isn't truthful, who isn't in integrity. At the proving end, this could be someone who is actually like overly honest, to the point where they're blurting and rude, actually, so direct, they're actually rude. They're saying the thing that no one else would say. Another quality, and again, often people who come to Waking the Wild often share this quality. It's one of my qualities too. And we could name it as either radiance or presence. And it's that quality of someone who is one way or another meant to draw the eye. Often people who, just like I'm doing now, it's natural for them to one way or another be a messenger, be on stage, be in the spotlight, do videos. And this again at the hiding end will literally be someone who one way or another kind of like hides their light, will dim themselves. And again, for me in particular, this was a quality that I learned to dim at school for fairly obvious reasons. If you get bullied when you're noticed, you're going to do what you can to not be noticed. At the other end, the proving end, this is someone who is like this desperate need to be the center of attention, you know, kind of not just a life, the soul of the party, but someone who is just like, is obviously doing everything they can to make sure they're grabbing the spotlight and being the center of attention. The last example I'm going to give you, which again is a very common one for people who are journeying with Wake in the Wild, is what we could call spirit or divinity. Someone who just is naturally here as a channel for spirit. Like they have an innate quality of being very open to spirit. And at the hiding end, this can be someone who is like hyper rational, so logical, no room for anything that can be proven, very materialist. At the proving end, this can be someone who is like, you know, other people would say like, oh my goodness, like so woo woo, like floating, like up in the clouds, bypassing, they're just not in this world. So I could give countless other qualities, and honestly, they're probably infinite. The reason we, I guess, distill them down to like a number of words is because then they become something that we can very practically work with in service of someone understanding who they are and then living their soul purpose. So if you haven't heard, I mean, it may be that one of those qualities, or it could even be several of those qualities, are ones that you resonate with. But don't worry if you didn't. Again, you will have qualities that absolutely are you. And I say it's not even like they're qualities that you exhibit. Ultimately, they are you. So if you are hearing something what I've shared, my invitation to you is firstly, just trust what you're feeling. Trust this sense of, oh my goodness, perhaps me, just me, who I innately am, is a gift. And perhaps it's one that's ready to be unwrapped and to use in service of living your soul purpose. And I'd love to know, what qualities have you heard in what I've just shared that you've seen in yourself? And it might well be, as I say, ones that I've mentioned, or it might be that you're like, oh, actually, I feel that like one of my qualities is joy. That's one of mine too. And so just recognize there's no wrong here. It might be that you would name it differently to how we'd name it, but really put that to one side. I'd love to know what you've seen about yourself that you feel could be one of those like just real deep soul essence qualities. And I will see you in my series of videos about 7 ways to uncover your greatest gifts and your deepest soul purpose. Thank you for joining me. Lots of love to you. Mwah. Goodbye for now.